the whole thing.
Okay, well, whatever you want, then we can go down. So
Yeah.
these two kits are out of a series of about 10 different kits made by Marvel Manufacturing Company, and they're all dated 1940. So these are the classic, if you show that layout over there, this is the classic, what I like to say in vintage wood kits is, they give you, here's a piece of wood, make it look like the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are classic, and since they were wartime kits, right? Because 1940, we weren't in a war yet, but there were. So there's a lot of stuff that isn't included. You'll never find a medal in any wartime
Because of the strategic metals shortages and everything.
Exactly, no metals in there. So they're all, and if you look at a lot of the wood is either like pressboard or cheap wood, not even, and they didn't even do balsa.
This is the same way, by the way, they were doing model railroading.
Exactly, model railroad went to cardboard and balsa and all that. So they would give you very, very Dick and Jane instructions, and you had. It goes to one of the points.
You got to have skills, kid. You got to have skills.
Exactly, and you got to be able to look at a diagram and So I always like your phrase. You go, this model went together without any argument, or this one argument. So on any wood kit, I won't say it goes together without argument, but you will have a discussion on every single piece.
Yeah.
Every single, because nothing will, necessarily fit clean out of the box. Carving stuff, shaping it, paper. So I have one kit that's earlier than this that's at the other house. It's a 1939 kit. And again, I kind of focus mostly on cars and military vehicles and some ships. Airplane models during that time took off hugely. There were tons of flying models. But what I find interesting is, again, the wartime kits. No metal, no anything, and they would tell you in the instructions, go out and find some scrap wire, go out and use pins, go out. So that's what
it looks like you use one of those little brads or something for the rivets.
Yeah, I just went out and got. Those are just literally they're straight pins.
Perfect.
So, because what I try to do, whenever I try to build these, I try to think back if I was 12 years old in 1940, what would I have available?
It's like when I did that Constellation, I'm going to do this as 12-year-old max build. Exactly.
And I do all these. Now, obviously, my skills are a bit better than when I was 12. I was doing plastic. Primarily.
Which compensates for our lack of dexterity and eyesight and age.
I got cheaters, I got magnifying glass and all that. But matter of fact, I can take you in, I'll show you this one. So the other thing that I do, wood models, and I'll take this one and we'll go in my office and I'll show you an example. The reason I got into wood models, a friend of mine, probably a dozen years ago, I did his retirement ceremony. When he retired out of the Army, I do that kind of on the side as an MC for ceremonies. So he knew I built models, styrene and everything, and he found a wooden model from World War II of a Sherman tank. It's actually one of the better companies. Didn't know it, and I said, and he gave it to me, and I go, I hung on to it for a couple of years, and I go, I want to build this, but if I build it, then I don't have the kit, right? Because it's wood, and I'll never see this again.
Eat your cake and have it too. Yeah.
So what I looked at is, but wood models, this is the thing, wood models, you can eat your cake and have it too.
Because you can use the plans.
That's it. If you look at that.
You can virtually Xerox that, get a piece of wood, and
yep, you do.
It's like a lot of guys, they make the molds so they can make resin copies of parts and make a bunch of. You don't even have to go that far. You just reuse the instructions.
I go to Hobby Lobby and buy balsa wood. That's the same. The dimensions are all the same, right? You're just cutting it down to, and actually you can get a little bit better now. You can get nice basswood and all that kind of stuff. So this I'll show you the Sherman tank in there I did. Huge, and that was the first one I did, and I reproduced the whole thing. A lot of learning curve there, because it's big. And I said, I'm going to do this exactly like a 12-year-old. I'm not going to, I'm going to paint it. I'm not going to do anything else. Just what would it look like and how much skill would it take? Then I got hooked. Then I started seeing other wooden kits, and it was like, okay, this got out of control.
Like hobbies tend to do.
They do. Yeah. But you look and you go, any one of these, it'll take me, depending on how long it, how detailed the model is, it'll take, anywhere from 2 weeks to maybe a month to build. Kind of the same as you. When I get home from work, I spend an hour or two or something like that. But come on, I'll show you in the office.
Okay.
You want something to drink? You want iced tea or something?
I'm fine. I'm going to pause this, and we're live.
So we can start from the top. So this is the first one I did, the M4 Sherman, Rogers Motor Company. and I've done the research. There's not a lot of research on it. They did 5 kits during World War II, and the Sherman is one of them. I've built.
And that is about a 1/16 scale?
Yeah, right around 1/16th. 1/15th, 1/16th. Same as my RC. You can see there's an
RC, and it's about almost the same size.
Anyway, when you look at the plans on there, it's basically blueprints. And at the bottom of them, they were all signed, after I collected the kits over years, they were all signed by John Herneke. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. So I went out on a Google search. I go, I'm sure the gentleman is long past, but he was the draftsman. And the plans on there, I'll show you some. I think I got a set here. Absolutely beautiful. You know, it's like I published them if I could, or I'd put it up on a wall if I had space. Anyway, long story short, I look up this John Herneke. I find a guy that's a bit older than you and I in Detroit, where this was made. I send a letter, you know, with some pictures, just on a, you know, hey, I do this. You may have no. Turns out it's the guy's son.
Oh.
And guess who he started? He's one of the founders of Johan. I was talking
so he worked with John Hanley, and okay.
It was John, and he goes, are you familiar with Johan models? I go, yeah, absolutely. He goes, that's my dad started after he left Rogers Motor Company. I go, you got to be kidding me. So we had this long conversation and all that kind of stuff. So
now Rogers Motor Company was a model company.
You know, they had the first. They had one of the first patents for RC gasoline engine. You know, gas-powered engine for RC aircraft, like in the late 30s.
Yeah, because I know that when I did the thing on WinMac, they made most of their money making engines.
Yeah, and Rogers. And when I did a Google search, I could find their patent on one of their, you know, one of the top cylinder engines that they used.
One of the things I like about this was an LCM or an LC.
That's an LCI.
LCI. So infantry, yeah. But what I like about it is with the paint job, you see how good a wooden model can look. Oh, you know, yeah. I mean, I love that you keep them in the raw wood because you get to appreciate the workmanship. But it's nice to see a couple of them paint and go, look, you can really do.
Oh, you can.
A nice job.
Because these are, so you know.
What's the story on these things?
So Monogram, right? You did great Monogram history, right? The first 5 kits that Monogram did were 5 ship kits. I have all 5 of them. This one right here, the Destroyer that you saw before.
That's a Fletcher, correct?
Fletcher, correct. You're right. That was one of their first 5 kits. I haven't built the other 4 yet, but I have it. So their first 5 kits, all wood, those ships. Then their next set of kits were the CO2 racers. So these
I made one of those in Boy Scouts. It didn't look like that, but I remember the CO2 racers. Yeah.
So these are from the early 50s, and they made 4. They made a boat, and then they made 4 cars. And I got the boats up the other house. These 2, I'm just waiting to put some more decal on them. But those are original Monogram CO2 racers. You know, you put the string down, hit the CO2 cartridge, you know, out the back, and so they did those. Then they came up. Matter of fact, the only companies, I have a whole list, you know, detailed research list. Essentially, the only companies that were building wood models in the 30s and 40s, other than the Gillows that did planes, but any of the companies that were building like
solid block wood
models, the only 2 that survived really past like 1960, Strombecker, which went out shortly after,
in the 60s,
and Monogram, which continues to today. All the other ones, gone.
Well,
the transition to styrene.
Yeah, exactly. And Monogram only did it in slow stages.
And that's such a cool piece of the history for me, because you look and I go, I got their kit. So after they did the ships, then they did the CO2 racers. Then they came out and they're called. Matter of fact, my Corsair and the Corsair build is
the Speedy build.
No, it's not a Speedy build. Before the Speedy build was Super build.
Super build, yes.
Super build. So it was wood and plastic combined. You know, mostly wood. I don't think I have one down here. I got them up at the other house. I got one that this one's in pieces. This is the next one I'm going to do. I found it in I find pieces and parts, but this is a Speedy built. No, Speedy built. This is a super kit. These are the super kits.
And I built one of the Strombecker F-84s, ironically, that swept wing version of that same plane, and it's about more or less kind of the same kit. Yeah. No landing gear.
No landing gear, yeah.
But, you know, just the blocks of wood, and I had to shave it all down.
Yeah, and this one, so this is, and again, this is, you know, I collect pieces from other kits and then, you know, put one together, but you could just see it's a combination of wood and plastic. So they do wood for the major ones. So they did these as super kit. So they were making the transition, like you correctly point out, they didn't jump right into it. Then the next one were the Speedy Builds. Speedy Builds were the same thing, but they were kind of combination of solid wood, Gilo's tissue, right, and plastic. And the small Speedy Built you could fly. I have 2 of them.
Although my understanding is they flew like a brick.
Oh, I'm sure. I look at them. I got a P40 and a P47. I haven't built them yet. I got the kits. You know, I look and I still do, you know, the Gilo's kit, and I fly RC, you know, small RC. Oh yeah, I look at this and go, yeah, this I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah. Even the Guilo's kits are fly like crap. They're too heavy, and it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But I've seen guys skin them with tissue or light balsa and make them look like styrene kits. I mean,
you can absolutely. I got the I did the Mustang that I built for my grandson that we fly, and it'll fly really good for about 10 yards, and then it's like it augers in.
Well, I tell you what, I'm probably going to run out of video here in a second because of memory on the phone. Guys, your genius host Max didn't think to bring his video camera. So Fran and I will be talking about this and much more in great detail on a actual history video we're planning to put together when I can get the time. There are some things that are brewing that are going to have me occupied till early next year. I'll talk to you guys later. And as always, model, you mind appearing on camera?
No issue.
Well, tell them to model on.
Model on.
Model on, guys.